Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Hey, folks, today is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. I'm here at the Equal Justice Institute in Montgomery, Alabama. And so we are here in their Legacy Museum Annex here for a meeting of black strategists. I'll tell you more about that later in today's show. In Missouri, Republicans have passed a racially gerrymandered congressional map that removed the congressional district of Congressman Emanuel Cleaver. We'll talk with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, about this attack on black members of Congress. Also in today's show, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, she is demanding that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell address the rising unemployment rate of black women. She will join us on today's show as well. A New York pastor at Abyssinian Baptist Church is calling out MAGA Christians. We'll show you exactly what he has to say. And I keep telling y'all, these white Republicans are so focused and concerned about white births, white fertility rates. And so wait till I show you a conversation that MAGA Republican Charlie Kirk had with Laura Ingraham on Fox News. Also, folks, in our marketplace segment, art lovers, you're going to enjoy today's segment. Folks, it's a lot we're going to talk about. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Hey, folks, I am here in Montgomery, Alabama for a series of meetings the last couple of days. And we're here at the Equal Justice Institute. This is their Legacy Annex. They've actually opened up their Legacy Museum, and they have, of course, also an amazing memorial dedicated to those people who have been lynched, as well as a sculpture park. And I wanted to purposely show you this here. So this is literally where we are. And so I'm going to step out of the way. So you see what this says on the wall here. You're standing on a site where enslaved people were warehoused. And this was an 8-year effort for them to get this property, to get this. And so if you come to downtown Montgomery, they have this facility, the Legacy Museum. Like I said, their sculpture park. So it's a whole lot that's here in Montgomery. And so we appreciate Brian Stevenson and his staff allowing us to be able to meet here the last couple of days. And so we certainly are standing on hallowed ground. Again, where enslaved people who, thousands of slaves that came through Alabama, coming through this particular place as well. In fact, they have a sign here that shows by 1860 in Mobile County, you had some 11,000 enslaved people of African descent here in Montgomery, some 21,710. In Natchez, Mississippi was 14,000. And then New Orleans was 14,000. So you literally had more the population of enslaved black people in major trade centers. This was one of the major trade centers, Montgomery, Alabama. And so just wanted to share that history with you. Folks, let's talk about what's happening with racial gerrymander all across the country. Today, the state Senate in Missouri passed a racially gerrymandered map that dismantles the congressional seat of Congressman Emanuel Cleaver. Now, in Missouri, there are 10 members of Congress. There are 8 Republicans, 2 Democrats. 1 Democrat, Emanuel Cleaver in Kansas City. Wesley Bell is in St. Louis, and so they are destroying the district of Emanuel Cleaver to give them a 7-1 advantage, and so that's what is happening right now. So you see what's going on across. My apologies. They have right now. It's 8 members, 6 Republicans, 2 Democrats. This would give them a 7-1 majority. This is a statement released by Democratic Chair Ken Martin. He said Missouri House Republicans, following the lead of Donald Trump to rig the state's congressional maps, is corruption at its worst. Missouri House Democrats fought back every step of the way, including Representatives Reed, Folks, and Dean, who hosted a sit-in since Thursday to stand up for Missouri voters. The American people are fed up with Donald Trump and his Republican circus. Costs are rising. He said costs are rising, the economy is tanking, and his signature legislation is a massive transfer of wealth from the bottom to the top. No wonder Trump is trying to rig the game. He knows Republicans can't win elections on their abysmal record. Democrats will continue to fight back every step of the way, and make no mistake, this fight in Missouri is not over. Joining us right now, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke out of New York. She's the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Glad to have you back on the show. Congresswoman, what you're seeing right now is literally an arms race. We saw, of course, Republicans in Texas following the lead of Donald Trump racially gerrymandered that state, getting rid of 5 Democratic districts, including 2 African Americans, 1 in Dallas, 1 in Houston. California Governor Gavin Newsom, he responded saying that he would be changing the maps there. We, of course, in your home state, Governor Kathy Hochul says she'll be moving to do the exact same thing there. And so at some point, where does this end? Where do black voters, of course, are being impacted? Then, of course, we have that Supreme Court case that could very well wipe out half of the Congressional Black Caucus. And so I have been trying to tell people there's a massive effort to defund Black America, and there's a direct attack on black representation in the United States as we speak.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Roland. And let me just correct something. They are actually eliminating 4 black congressional seats, actually 5 in Texas. It's the 2 seats held by Jasmine Crockett and Mark Vesey in the area.
5 in Texas, but 2 black. Yes.
Well, but also there's also the 2 in the Houston area, the one that is represented by Congressman Al Green, and the vacant seat that was left vacant by the death of Sylvester Turner. So that we could lose 4 CBC members in this redistricting battle in Texas. And as you've rightly stated today, unfortunately, the legislature in Missouri moved to redistrict Congressman Emanuel Cleaver out of his seat in the Kansas City, Missouri area. And we're seeing these moves across the nation at the behest of Donald Trump in red states where Republicans hold the majority in their legislative body. So whether it's Indiana or Ohio, there has been this rush to a mid-decade redistricting, that all in an effort to try to give the House of Representatives an advantage on the Republican side for the 2026 elections. And we actually held a press conference today, Roland, to highlight the numbers of CBC members that are impacted and are potentially impacted by what is taking place right now. Even in Louisiana, there is litigation about to commence because they too are moving after having just gone through the process of expanding representation for black voters in Louisiana. They have now backtracked after it was a Republican governor, Republican state legislature that expanded their map to include another black opportunity district. So this is all under the pressure and vice of Donald Trump. But there's a willingness on the part of these Republican state legislators to do his bidding, all at the, unfortunately, at the demise of the representation of black communities across this country. And in Ohio, it's the Amelia Sykes seat, Representative Amelia Sykes, which is not a majority black district, but represent the values of the people in Akron, Ohio, and its environs, and they're trying to eliminate her seat as well.
Well, the question people are asking is, okay, how do they respond? What do they do? Look, we saw what happened in Tennessee. Republicans dismantled the congressional district in Nashville, literally splitting it into 4 congressional districts. So we see Republicans are doing there in Missouri. So what do you say? How do the voters respond? And for me, what I keep saying is that for black voters, we have to maximize our vote. And we can't be simply in elections and voting at 35, 40, 45% of our capacity.
Absolutely. Well, there are a couple of things. One, we need to register our disgust with what's taking place. If you are taking for granted the fact that you have someone representing you in Congress that is reflective of your lived experiences, that is fighting and using their voice to amplify your aspirations and your desires, then you need to be outraged by what is taking place right now. It is very clear to us that the demise of the Republicans in these states is what they are running from. They know that they have passed some very unpopular bills, painful legislation that is now law, and that they're going to pay a price for it. And so they're trying to get out ahead of that by gerrymandering in a mid-decade and basically putting themselves in the majority, so they think, in perpetuity. And so we've got to fight back. Right now, there is a very important court case that is about to get started in Louisiana that will have implications across the United States, because what we recognize is that this is not gerrymandering just for gerrymandering's sake. This is racially motivated gerrymandering, and that is clearly unconstitutional under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And so we've got to make sure that we're educating our folks, we're informing them, and that we are drilling down into the grassroots so that people understand what is at stake here. It's not just losing your voice, but it is trying to rig the political system so that Republicans and MAGA in particular are in power in perpetuity.
Well, here's the thing here. When you say we have to fight back, what I keep hearing from people, what does that mean? What does that look like for us to fight back?
Well, I think we can take a page out of the page of John Lewis and the foot soldiers, of the civil rights movement. They are the ones. They paid in their blood, Bloody Sunday, right to vote. And so here we are in the 21st with facing the specter of disenfranchisement on multiple levels. Redistricting is just one tool that they've been using, but they're trying to eliminate vote by mail. They're trying to restrict voter registration and erect barriers to the ballot box. This is all in an attempt, again, to wrestle power out of the Black community to empower our adversaries who clearly are racially motivated in the work that in their movements politically. And so we've got to meet fire with fire. And that looks like going into our communities on the ground, having our civil rights organizations, their affiliates, our any organizations in our communities that are all about empowering our people need to make sure that they're educated, they're informed, that we motivate people, because I know that there's so much cynicism out there. There is so much misinformation and disinformation being consumed in our community that it's unfortunately to our own demise. We know that, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund will be in the courts, particularly in Louisiana. And when they're successful, that ultimately should have put a halt to all of the gerrymandering that's taking place, particularly in Texas, in Missouri, in Indiana, in Ohio. But we need to ratchet up, the volume of our dismay, our disgust of what is taking place, and we need to be in protest mode.
Right. All right. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, we appreciate you joining us on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me, Roland.
Appreciate it. Folks, got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered right here in the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network, what's happening? It's your man, Kim. And look, my new single, Rock With Me, is on fire. We debuted as the #1 most added and greatest gainer at R&B radio. So look, I want you to go check it out at musicbykim.com. Listen to it, download it, tell me what you think about it. Also, make sure you sign up to be a part of my community so we can stay connected. At Music by Kim on all social media platforms. Thank you for rocking with me. And keep love on the one.
'Cause I want you to rock with me. We live in a strange world till the darkness falls forever. Baby, let's be the dawn. When it feels like it's taking me over, you're making me stronger, my sweet love.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to Black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped Black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
My name is Lena Charles, and I'm from Opelousas, Louisiana. Yes, that is Zydeco capital of the world.
My name is Margaret Chappelle. I'm from Dallas, Texas, representing the Urban Trivia Game.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you watch.
Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
All right, folks, introducing my panel, Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA, joining us out of D.C. Dr. Randy Bryant, she's entrepreneur, author, speaker, and creator of The Truthing Game out of Washington, D.C. Joe Richardson, civil rights attorney out of Los Angeles. Let me start with you, Joe. What we're seeing here, and I've been yelling and screaming and sounding this alarm for the longest, we are seeing a direct attack on every Black institution in this country. And we're going to keep saying this until Black folks wake up and realize this. What MAGA Republicans are doing, they are angry with what is taking place in the last 60 years. And so they are attacking Black politics, they're attacking Black economics, they're attacking Black academia, they're attacking Black health agencies, they're attacking every single thing. This is a complete effort to defund Black America. And people cannot act like this thing is normal. I mean, if I had to make a comparison, and I keep doing this, I mean, to be in this facility, the Equal Justice Institute, you talk about Reconstruction. What we saw in the period of Reconstruction, the aftermath, is what we're seeing right here. I've long said that the death of George Floyd marked the third Reconstruction. I kept warning people that this thing needs to last at least 20 years, a minimum of 20 years to truly be effective. The first two were shortened. Well, guess what? The third one didn't even last as long as the first two. And so in the aftermath of a Reconstruction period, there always was a vicious attack on African Americans. And after the first Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877, you saw the attack on Black political representation where they ran every African American out of Congress. What we are seeing right now is the same thing. A backlash, a vicious attack against Black America.
Yeah, there's always a flip back with each and every one of these events that charts Black progress. And so here we are again, right? After Barack Obama and then eventually George Floyd, and now you see this flip back going on again. And so they're trying to flip it all the way back. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, if we're not voting the way that we need to, then it gets more difficult. I mean, voting is the most important battle line here. The idea that, and we feel like we're talking like we're broken records here, that we've lost blood, we've sacrificed blood, sweat, and tears for people to be able to vote, for our people to be able to vote. And the idea that someone could actually think that they're okay, black person, okay, despite the fact of not voting. And this is not regular gerrymandering. You have some people saying, well, the Democrats do this all the time, this and that and the other. Not only is it, in the middle of the 10 years towards the census, but it is directly calculated towards getting rid of black votes, black voices, particularly not only because black voices exist and they stand up for black people, but because black folks typically make the difference because of how well they vote together from a percentage standpoint between Democrats winning and losing elections. And so that's what they're trying to do. So, I'll be in D.C. a couple of weeks, and it'll be interesting to see what's left of the African American Museum, what they're trying to take away, how they're trying to take away history, tell different stories. I'm sure it's amazing you're sitting where you are, Roland, because this is exactly the kind of thing that they want to treat like it doesn't exist. And so we do have to wake up, understand what it is that's actually going on, that this is a direct attack on black folks, black things, black history, black culture, black contributions. You keep filling it in. And at the same time, understand that attacks on constitutional rights involving any and everyone affect us all. Sure, we're focused. We ought to be focused on what is affecting us. But listen, if they can go walk down the street, arrest this person, that person, without charges, without constitutional basis, then that's bad news for all of us.
We're going to have Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley coming up next, talking about challenging the Federal Reserve when it comes to more than 300,000 black women losing their jobs. A little bit later in the show, we're going to have Congressman Al Green talking about access to capital and money flowing to Tier 1 black banks. Randy, that's what people don't understand. I don't think people really fully comprehend what our world will look like. When you talk about, you have some 67 members of the Congressional Black Caucus right now. If the Supreme Court, with the gerrymandering, okay, you're going to lose 2 in Texas. You're going to lose 1 in Missouri. That's 3 right there. They're trying to take out 1 in Ohio. Ron DeSantis ran through his maps that took out one of the districts in Florida. If the Supreme Court ruling, and look, we just saw a Supreme Court yesterday give the green light to racially profiling Latinos in California. Listen, if this Supreme Court says, yeah, you know what, we're balancing race-based districts, half of the Congressional Black Caucus is wiped out. And all the people who love complaining about the CBC this, the CBC that, do you understand what will happen if you lose half of black members of Congress? That's what people have to fully comprehend what's going on.
I resist being an alarmist, but it's absolutely time to ring the alarm. I mean, we are being viciously attacked. And he is trying to ensure, or the whole Trumplicans are trying to ensure, that black people don't have a voice, that we have no representation, that we have no say-so. And that is absolutely scary. We see what's happening already as it is, where they are passing laws that allow them to completely discriminate against us without any sort of due process. What I tried to tell people about yesterday's ruling, if they're saying that they can do race-based stops, nothing else needs to make them want to go after somebody but someone's race, or that they're speaking Spanish. If someone essentially does not look American, their very narrow view of what an American is, we absolutely should know that we are in danger. They will look at a black person and say, this black person doesn't look American or seems like a threat. And then when you go back to the gerrymandering, when they're saying, we think that we could lose, because they know black people, when we are united and fired up and focused, we get out there and vote. And so what they're saying is, because they're losing, they could lose, they say, well, let's just change the rules. Let's just change the maps. And so our votes will get lost. and anybody that represents us will be lost. And so we're in big trouble if no one is fighting for us. There's no voices for us. So yes, it is time to ring the alarm and for all of us to wake up and raise hell.
People out there could think we're playing, we're joking. Mustafa, I'm wearing this shirt. Don't blame me, but for the black woman, we are seeing the results of what happened when we elected this thug in chief and how they are attacking every black institution.
Define democracy in many of our communities across our country. These folks aren't playing, but they continue to play in your face, and folks just continue to allow it because they keep thinking, well, it can't get any worse. It can't happen to me. All of the things that help you to sleep at night, but the reality of the situation is that you are also on the chopping block. When I looked at the maps that they were doing today and the sets of actions that they continue to move forward on, I was thinking to myself, this looks like a damn crime scene sketch, because what you continue to find is that they are literally taking their hands and strangling our communities. They are strangling the resources out of our communities. They're strangling the power out of our communities. They are strangling the future out of our communities. And people still will just sit back and say, well, maybe that's not going to happen in any greater way. And when they do these maps, here's the interesting thing. They're really giving y'all the middle finger. That's what they're doing. They're saying that I don't care, no matter what happens, we're going to make sure that black folks know that they're not welcome, that brown folks know that they're not welcome, that Democrats know that they're not welcome. That's exactly what these sets of actions are sending a very clear message. So you're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to get up and get engaged? Are those folks who call themselves our allies actually going to show up and do some real work this time? Or you will blink and you will not find democracy. But not just you won't find democracy, you're not going to have any rights. And you're going to find yourself in a very dangerous and precarious situation in the not so distant future.
So, folks, going to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk to Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. She is pressed to the case when it comes to the more than 300,000 black women who have lost jobs since January. We'll have her next. Folks, don't forget to support the work that we do here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing, on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. That funds this show as well as the other shows on our network. If you want to support us, please do so by utilizing Stripe QR code. If you want to give to us via Cash App or use a credit card, again, the Stripe QR code, you see it right there. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And again, if you want to check some money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Our goal is to raise $1 million between now and the end of the year. And so, if you want to make it all possible, stand with us as we celebrate 7 years of Roland Martin Unfiltered, 4 years of the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
D.C. has been ravaged and taken over by tanks, soldiers, police officers over the last 2 weeks, and it's only starting there. Trump has announced that he also has plans to bring this to Chicago, Baltimore, and New York City. So we're going to dig into it. This is On the Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Next on A Balanced Life, here on Black Star Network, we're talking what it means to be a balanced young adult and turning 21. I know 21 is one of those ages where you think you're grown. You can do whatever you want. The law says that you can. But what are you packing in your 21-year-old toolkit that will allow you to not only survive, but to thrive?
You have every right to make whatever decision that you want to make, okay? Because you're grown. Don't go out here and do something and then want to come back and expect somebody else to clean it up for you.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
This is Essence Atkins.
Mr. Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon.
It's me, Sherry Shepard, and you know what you watch.
You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Well, Houston Congressman Al Green has always stood up for African Americans and black banks. Well, during a congressional hearing, he advocated on behalf of those banks saying they should be getting Tier 1 funding. Here's what he had to say.
Let me now recognize gentleman from Texas, Mr. Green, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the ranking member for her comments and would associate myself with the comments of the ranking member. I would call to our attention the intelligence that has been provided to me indicating that there are 4,487 FDIC insured institutions. And it is my belief that less than 50 are black owned. In fact, less than 40 are black owned. To be more accurate, less than 30 are black owned. To be even more accurate, less than 1% are black owned. I'm interested in knowing how we can use this topic of funding access to acquire more black banks. I've been with friends who've started banks. It is not easy to acquire Tier 1 capital. Tier 1 capital. There's not a black bank in the country with $10 billion in Tier 1 capital. Probably 2 exceed $1 billion. Probably 2. Now, Mr. James, you're much more educated on these things than I, so correct me. Do we have more than 2 black banks with Tier 1 capital exceeding $1 billion?
Thank you for the question, Congressman Green. Actually, there are 25 black-owned institutions in the United States, and there are 2 that exceed $1 billion in total assets. Technically, no, there are no institutions that are black-owned that have more than $1 billion in Tier 1 capital. These are institutions that are just over $1 billion in total assets.
And the truth is this, we didn't get here because black people are not intelligent, because they can't count, because they can't be educated. It's racism. So the question becomes, how do we overcome this racism so that black people can own banks and acquire capital? I don't have the answer, but I know what has created the problem. And until we confront this, I'm not sure that we'll be able to resolve the issues associated with starting and maintaining black banks. Mr. James, do you have any answer for me to help me understand how we can acquire more black banks and deal with the racism that still exists?
Thanks again. I do want to acknowledge that in the last 5 years, for the first time in American history, we have seen a convulsion in the United States economy, such as what happened during the pandemic, and actually not seen a decline in African American owned institutions. Typically, when you had the Great Depression or the Great Recession, you would lose typically around half of the black owned institutions would fail because they were undercapitalized. In the last 5 or 6 years, there's been more capital available, and so we've actually seen a slight uptick. So at the beginning of the pandemic, there were only 19 black-owned banks, and now there's 25. And so that's good news. I think it would be very helpful to, again, reduce that community bank leverage ratio to a smaller number, to increase the access for reciprocal deposits and other forms of liquidity, so that you could have smaller institutions of all types, whether they serve urban and rural communities, whether they be black owned or owned by anyone else, where you can encourage more competition and more different types of institutions. Regulatory reform is also important, because if we can evolve regulatory regulation,
I'm going to have to
we can have more institutions.
I have to intercede because I have to close with this. 2 things. The first is I think that we can do things to help all banks. But at some point, we will have to do something to help black people. We really will. We didn't get here because we were unable to help ourselves. It was because others wouldn't allow us to help ourselves. And the final thing is, are there no women who can do what you men do? I always pay attention to who's on these panels. All male panel. But for this African American, I assume you're African American, you look like one to me, I don't know. But but for the Democrats, we wouldn't have an African American on the panel.
Gentleman's time is expired.
The gentleman's time has always expired. I yield back.
Again, perfect example of what happens when you have black representation in Congress. One of the issues that we have been talking about, the more than 300,000 black women who've lost their jobs since Donald Trump went back into the Oval Office. And Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley is demanding answers from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. She joins us right now. Congresswoman, glad to have you back on the show. So what demand are you making of the Fed Chair?
Roland, always good to be with you. The demand that I'm making of the chair is that the Fed do its job. It has a dual mandate, but for now, I'll just speak to one part of that mandate. It's a statutory mandate, and that is to maximum full employment. And given the alarming rates and spike in unemployment across the board, but for black women in particular, who have always been the canaries in the coal mine when it comes to our economy. The black women represent 12% of the federal workforce. That workforce, had a hammer taken to it. And so when you consider reduction in force, mass firings, and with a focus on those agencies that black women dominate, housing and urban development, health and human services, USAID, Department of Education. And then you layer that with the defunding and the dismantling of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the private sector, and that chilling effect and that rollback. Not only do you see a lack of representation and black women being forced out of the private sector, but black women also dominate diversity, equity, and inclusion jobs. So this is devastating. 51% of black women are the primary breadwinners in their family, the primary caregivers. So this is will be devastating. Huge implications for black women, for the black family, and for black communities. And so you're talking about 300,000 black women whose livelihoods and lives have been disrupted. And if any other group were experiencing something as extreme as that, they would already be studying it. What I'm demanding of the chair in their statutory mandate for maximum employment, and given the 6.7 rate of unemployment for black women, is for them to analyze the data, to study it, to come up with a plan of action. And then the second part of it is the other part of their mandate is their independence. And I'm calling on Chairman Powell to be 10 toes down and full-throated in his defense and support of Governor Lisa Cook, the first black woman to be in this role, because in doing that, you affirm the independence of the Fed because her firing is unlawful.
So why don't you send that to him, and did you give him a time frame to respond?
Yes, and we'll be following up to see what happens with that. I mean, listen, Roland, we're not just sitting around and waiting for answers. We're going to keep applying the pressure here because this is of deep consequence to black women, to black families, and black America. But again, to the economy writ large, because black women have always been the canaries in the coal mine. So this is a devastating metric of what is to come. And again, when you're talking about 300,000 families who've had their livelihoods and lives disrupted, I think for any other group, this would be a 5-alarm fire. And so we're going to keep the pressure on Chairman Powell and the Fed to honor that statutory dual mandate of maximum employment while also affirming their independence and being full-throated in their defense of Governor Lisa Cook, who is the most recent black leader and black woman in the long line of baseless attacks against black leadership in this administration. This hostile administration is giving obsessed. It is just anti-blackness on steroids everywhere we go. They are looking to decimate black wealth, to roll back black gains, to dilute the black voice, to disenfranchise our political power at every turn. You know, I was meeting with some allies recently, and I said, you know, we named the attacks on the immigrant community. We named the attacks on the LGBTQ community. We named the attacks on women. I'm going to need you all to name the anti-Black racism that is rampant in this administration and pull up in a meaningful way to confront it. Yes, you know, we are experiencing the harm disparately, and it is not indiscriminate. It is very precise. It is very targeted. So any person of conscience should be linking arms with us and applying pressure in all the ways that we are currently.
Questions from my panel. I'll start first with you, Mustafa.
Congresswoman, it's good to see you. We know historically there are a number of actions that have been put in place all the way back to the Black Codes and Jim Crow and the Freedmen's Bank collapse. How do we make sure that the investments that we need are actually there, but also the regulations to make sure that there's real enforcement in that space?
Well, you know, if you mean specifically to this, I mean, what I'm focused is a little bit of an echo, y'all, so just bear with me here. You know, the strategy in this moment, it is litigation. The harm is acute, and so that can be a frustrating endeavor because when you're trying to match lawlessness with the rule of law, but that being said, we have been successful in slow rolling or blunting a lot of these unlawful, rogue, and racist attacks through the courts. It just takes more time. I still see outside of litigation, legislation as a tool at our disposal, despite how sobering the landscape is from a legislating standpoint, but I just keep applying the pressure. I'm just appealing to, you know, 4 Republicans of conscience. Their majority is very slim, and I'm starting to see that pressure. You know, I've been invited to a number of Republican districts to convene town halls because their own representatives will not meet with them. And as people start to feel the effects of this economy, the impact of these chaotic tariffs, the impact of these mass layoffs, and are worried about their Medicaid and their Social Security. So it's very important that we continue to keep the public aware and informed. And the more informed they are, the more enraged they are, and the more they're clear about who are the architects of this harm. And it is the opposition. And then finally, agitation and mobilization. So I think it's all of those things. It's litigation, it's legislation, it's agitation, it's mobilization. Look, this is a dictatorship, and you can't beat a dictator with appeasement. Hello, somebody. You cannot beat a dictator by being complicit in silence. The only way to beat a dictator is with defiance. And so we have to resist, reject, obstruct at every single turn. And so that's what I continue to do, and that's what I continue to push others to do. This is a 5-alarm fire. Yes, I'm concerned about everybody, but what this means for Black America and this moment of anti-Blackness on steroids, this is not about can we weather the next 4 years, y'all. This is going to shape the next 100 years. This is about harm that we'll be digging out for generations. So I also want to say the other thing I remain squarely focused on is reconstruction. You know, what if we do our job and we rebuild this party and we get our gavel back, to do what? You know, so that's what I'm actively working on now is what does the work of reconstruction look like? Because when you have someone running the country who's running it like one of his many failed bankrupt businesses, they're going to move fast and break things. And it's easy to do that. It's a lot harder to rebuild. But we have to right now begin thinking about what that looks like. What does that mean? And how do we do that?
Randy, your question.
So much for being here. When we talk about rebuilding, I'm thinking about the individual families, those 313,000 Black women who have lost their jobs, many of them very, powerful, well-paying jobs. Do you have any practical advice of what they can do now? How do they start to rebuild their lives?
Well, first, let me just say right now, I'm focused on how do I mitigate the harm while actively looking for ways with which to ensure that we can recover what we've lost. It's just so layered. It's in every single way. It's no wonder that we're feeling overwhelmed, because that is their strategy. They also want us to feel that these things are inevitabilities, but I refuse to accept that. But it is a layered, compounded assault when you also consider the fact that all the gains as someone who led that fight for student debt cancellation and for creative ways for income-driven repayment, and all those things have been rolled back. So you're talking about Black women, 51%, who are the primary breadwinners, the formidable role they play in their families as caregivers and the primary breadwinners. Black women, the most educated, carrying the most debt, now having to then repay those payments, which we've made great progress on, against the backdrop of chaotic tariffs, an unpredictable economy, and being laid off. So I'm trying to get at this in every single way. What I need Black women to know is that I see you. I'm centering you in every single thing that I am doing, and that I am fighting like hell for you. You know, for your lives, for your families. This is just, it is devastating. It is destabilizing, and we will be digging out, for generations. That is the reality. But I'm trying to do whatever I can in this moment to buffer and mitigate the harms and to hold people accountable, like the Federal Reserve. They have a statutory mandate. This is why lifting up the work of Sadie Alexander, the first Black woman with a PhD in economics, and Coretta Scott King and Barrett Rustin and others, why I've been pushing for a federal job guarantee since I've been in Congress, because that is a part of their statutory mandate. So now I'm saying, you see this crisis happening with Black women, analyze it in a meaningful way, come up with a plan that we can hold you accountable to, and let's get to work. Because if you don't give a damn about Black women, then you don't give a damn about this economy or any working family, because Black women have always been the canaries in the coal mine. So this is a very frightening metric for what this means, for what's to come.
Joe.
Thank you, Congresswoman, for everything that you do. And this is, of course, incredibly important, beyond important. Time to sound the alarms, et cetera. And I appreciate that the window that you're going through, among the many things that you're doing, as you've said, is making a direct appeal to the Fed chair. What's the best way that folks like us that are now aware that there is something that's being attempted to be, there's pressure being brought to bear on this particular issue and this aspect of the issue, which is both micro and macro? You're talking about supporting this Black woman that's on the Fed, as well as analyzing, based on their statutory mandate, what's happening as it pertains to jobs and how this disproportionately affects Black women, et cetera. What's the best way for us to be part of educating people, and particularly our people, on this issue?
Yeah, I would just ask every person to ask their elected representatives to join our call, to support us in that pressure. I think the most important thing is vigilance and stamina and saturation. We need as many people as possible applying that pressure and holding the Fed accountable in this way to do their job. And also, with the other part of that mandate, to affirm the independence of the Fed. Because not only is the targeting of Lisa Cook racist, but a consistent and predictable play from Donald Trump and his obsession with Black leadership and Black women in particular, but it is unlawful. It is racist and it is unlawful. And so join our calls. Ask your other elected leaders and beyond to join our calls and our demands for Chairman Powell to be full-throated in his defense of Lisa Cook and call this what it is. It is an unlawful firing. And in doing that, he also affirms the independence of the Fed.
One of the things that, again, really since the inauguration, I have been very consistent in saying to this audience that there is a massive effort to defund Black America. And there's a wholesale attack on Black America. That Donald Trump and this administration, Republicans in the House and Senate, absolutely don't like Black people, don't support Black people, want to strip away voting rights of Black people, representation of Black people, jobs of black people, economic gains of black people. We already see the Supreme Court ruling against affirmative action in schools. But I'm going to tell you right now, that ruling the other day regarding allowing ICE to use racial characteristics to stop and detain Latinos, black people. Look, Latinos are going to have to operate like black folks in South Africa did, carrying around basically these passports showing who they are. Listen, if they allow that, they can allow that to happen to black people. We can't act like we somehow are exempt from this nasty, crazy, deranged right-wing administration and equally complicit Supreme Court.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, this is the time for solidarity, and we have to be intentional, in that way. I mean, again, even if Black America and brown folks will feel the harm the most, the point is this harm is coming for everyone. And so solidarity is key. There was a practical question asked earlier about, how best to support Black women. While we're doing litigation, legislation, agitation, and mobilization, I want to really encourage people, organize, to get old school. We need to organize our blocks. We need to organize our neighborhoods. We need to stand up mutual aid infrastructure. I understand it can never meet the gap. It is not the infrastructure that is big enough to supplant the work of a federal government or, a full-paying job. But we have to take care of one another, and we're going to need mutual aid to do that. And so I do want to encourage folks to get to know your neighbors, to lean into community, because that's the only antidote to this chaos and this uncertainty. And I also add, since I do serve on the bipartisan task force on AI, I'm also closely following the impact of AI in the future of working on Black women in particular, because 21 Black women represent maybe 21% of those workforces that stand to be the most impacted by AI.
All right, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, lots more to break down here on Roland Martin Unfiltered, so y'all stick around for the second hour. We'll be right back. Don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day to support our show. That money goes to support staff and our travel and hiring additional people to cover the news that matters to you. If you want to give via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. You can also, of course, PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Also, checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. Also, if you want to support us, get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network gear. Y'all see, I'm rocking a shirt. Don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. That's it right here. So check this out. This is what it looks like right here. So we have this shirt, of course, in a T-shirt, in a hoodie, in a crew neck as well. So go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, shopblackstarnetwork.com for you to get your Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag. We'll be right back.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
This week on the other side of change.
DC has been ravaged and taken over by tanks, soldiers, police officers over the last 2 weeks, and it's only starting there. Trump has announced that he also has plans to bring this to Chicago, Baltimore, and New York City. So we're going to dig into it. This is On the Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network, what's happening? It's your man, Kim. And look, my new single, Rock With Me, is on fire. We debuted as the #1 most added and greatest gainer at R&B radio. So look, I want you to go check it out at musicbykim.com. Listen to it, download it, tell me what you think about it. Also, make sure you sign up to be a part of my community so we can stay connected. At Music by Kim on all social media platforms. Thank you for rocking with me. And keep love on the one.
'Cause I want you to rock with me. We live in a strange world till the darkness falls forever. Baby, let's be the dawn. When it feels like it's taking me over, you're making me stronger, my sweet love.
Hey, Sherry Shepard, and you know what you're watching. Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
Folks, let's talk about how absolutely awful this Trump economy has been. Some new numbers came out today. The Labor Department released some numbers. It turns out U.S. employers added nearly 1 million fewer jobs than was initially reported. A new analysis about hiring for the year ending in March was overstated by about 911,000 jobs. The most significant downward revision on record. The Bureau of Labor Statistics revised the prior 2 months' data showing employers actually shed 13,000 jobs in May, a loss that marks the first monthly decline since December 2020. Bottom line, what this tells us, Mustafa, is this economy sucks. And Donald Trump, many people, he was elected because of the economy. Well, guess what? We tried to tell folks that he was not going to be great for the economy. And so his tariffs are showing us that had a more devastating impact on the economy even earlier than expected. And if people think that, oh, that's just a 1 month bump, no. We got stagflation. We're moving towards a recession. And so this idiot doesn't care. And I keep seeing all of these farmers whining and crying, now begging for a buyout. It's like, so now y'all want a buyout, but then y'all were against student loan debt and things along those lines. I'm sorry, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when they kept telling us that the economy was strong, I was thinking, where is the economy strong? Because you miss almost 1 million jobs that still flex like you ball. And then, you know, they show up like they actually showed up in a rented Bentley and have an EBT card in the glove compartment. So you ain't fooling nobody. They continue to try and manipulate the numbers. They continue to try and play games with us. And folks just got to make sure that they're continuing to speak out. Because I ain't never seen nobody lose that many jobs before. If you lose that many jobs, if I lose one job, my mama going to be knocking on my front door talking about you need to find out where that job is at. So we just got to stop allowing these games to be played. We got to also understand that, you know, when they're hurting people, they're actually changing dynamics as others have shared, you know, for generation upon generation. One, we got to call it out. Two, we got to make sure that we're also investing in our communities because we know that they're not going to do it. And three, it is tied to your vote. Once again, all of last year, we talked about your vote, your vote, your vote, how important it was for the economy, for a number of other things. And I don't know if people took us serious or not, but now you're seeing how it plays out.
Oh, yeah. Randy, I mean, I'm seeing more and more of these videos, these MAGA people who just crying and complaining and, oh, my God, what's going on? And it's kind of like, you voted for this. In fact, one California town, 64% of this town voted for Donald Trump. Now they're crying because their rural hospital is shut down. We told you.
Yeah, they thought they were immune. They thought that they had the complexion for the protection, but not with this economy. You think about it, 22,000 jobs, new jobs last month, which is abysmal. Typically, you want to see about 100,000 to keep up with the population. But this man and his policies is ruining the economy. You now have industries that are being greatly affected by tariffs. You also have people who no longer are coming to visit America. Nobody's trying to come from another country here. And so our tourism is down, so hospitality industries are affected. You also have where we have lost our workforce because, you know, capitalism, you need a workforce that you don't have to pay as much for it to run. People don't want to say that will take these low wage jobs. So that's why these farmers are also struggling because they chased off the workforce. They either sent them out or sent them into hiding. And so his policies have real effects. And these policies are what they voted for, but they thought that they would be protected, that their whiteness was going to protect them for these terrible policies that he said he was going to do. But they were so ignorant and they're so enamored by that man that it seems like they don't listen. But I bet you one thing, their pockets are going to make them listen. Their being hungry is going to make them listen. Not having a place to eat is going to make them, to live is going to make them listen. But it's having a real impact. This economy sucks and there's no other way to say it.
Joe, I'm looking at this right here. This came in today. 3 rural hospitals in Virginia are shutting down. Augusta Health said that it's a response to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and the resulting realities for healthcare delivery. And so, guess what? A lot of those MAGA wave flagging folks in rural Virginia, hello, say goodbye to your hospital, all because of Donald Trump and his policies.
Say goodbye to your hospital and then say hello to increased hospital expenses, increased medical care expenses for all of us, even those of us that are insured. People that are in emergency care that can't get regular primary care, they're going to show up somewhere. That's going to be covered, quote covered, but ultimately it has to be paid for. And so that's going to continue a vicious, terrible cycle. We're going to become sicker, right? Less people are going to go to the hospital. By the time they go to the hospital, it's going to cost more and be more on an emergency basis. And it's going to continue this cycle that's going to cost more money for all of us, right? Healthcare is not going to go down. It's not going to be more expensive. You're not going to have better outcomes when people in rural areas can't get care, when there's more crowded hospitals in other areas, or because there's less hospitals in a rural or some other area, you're going to have more people seeking care. You're going to have a whole lot of chaos that's going to result. And it's going to continue. And it's going to be very, very hard to unwind. It's very hard because eventually what will happen is what's starting to happen. You see with the loss of jobs that the economy is contracting. The economy is contracting. We won't be able to turn this around and bring money back to bear that we have lost because the economy is contracted. People aren't shopping, people aren't buying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to continue to be this cycle that's going to continue to affect those that are the least of us and those of us that thought we had our thing on a string. Those of us that thought that we were doing well and that Trump was our guy are going to suffer a very, very severe situation, and there's going to be no sympathy forthcoming related to it.
Again, we told all these people this is going to happen. And Randy, to your point, they thought it was going to be somebody else. They thought, oh, we're going to own the libs. And it's like, you're an idiot because it's going to impact you. The grocery prices, the food prices. We saw this before the last time. He screwed farmers, and $25 billion in American taxpayer money had to bail them out. So they were shocked it happened again. It's just called a sequel if this was Hollywood.
Well, their racism makes them blind to logic. Their absolute racism makes them blind to logic. And so all they focus on is what he's going to do against everyone else. And so they got excited when he talked about getting the illegals out of here. They got excited when he went on an attack against DEI and affirmative action and, you know, anything woke, as he called it. They got excited and they thought that they were part of the chosen people, that this boy who was this guy, this orange person who was born as a millionaire, got $1 million loan from his dad to bail him out on a few occasions, really has some relation to them, you know, their Midwest or South or, you know, farmer values. And he doesn't care about them, but they do not get that. Their racism, I'm telling you, makes people delusional. It's an absolute sickness that completely melts any ability to think logically, because he's told them what he was going to do. Project 2025 said what he was going to do, but they did not think it would affect them because of racism.
And what gets me, Mustafa, is just a blatant lie. Donald Trump was on a radio show this morning saying, we have no inflation. Prices are down on just about everything. Prices are way down on energy. Dude, you're lying. He's literally lying. And these MAGA idiots, they just go, oh, you know, I guess he's right.
Well, that's also the responsibility of the press, right? Because they continue to allow him to share things that aren't true. They don't ask the probing questions. They don't make sure that there's a follow-up afterwards to bring the facts forward. And then we also have a responsibility. When I say we, I mean the American public. Because if farmers are catching all of this hell, then they need to make sure that they are continuing to speak out against policies that are not working for them. For the folks who work in the healthcare arena, they have to pull forward not just the statistics of people who are getting sick and who are dying, but also the folks who are now going into bankruptcy because they can't afford it. People who are going into the grocery store, you should take your phone and you should record all those prices that are there when you walk outside of that supermarket with 2 bags in your hand and it costs over $100. So we've got a double-edged sword that has to be utilized in this moment. We got to make sure that folks who have a responsibility for making sure the truth is being told on the reporting side of the equation, but we also have to continue to speak out against these failed policies and make sure that we are also not just speaking out, but once again, we're going to say it over and over and over again, give more deeper consideration into your vote and vote based upon what's going to make your life better and not just because of some racial issues or misogynistic issues. Start being more intelligent about how you utilize your vote.
This week on The Other Side of Change,
DC has been ravaged and taken over by tanks, soldiers, police officers over the last 2 weeks, and it's only starting there. Trump has announced that he also has plans to bring this to Chicago, Baltimore, and New York City. So we're going to dig into it. This is On the Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Clarke. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to Black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped Black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Devon Frank.
I'm Dr. Robin B., pharmacist and fitness coach, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, a lot of black preachers out there who are speaking truth to power in terms of what's happening with this white nationalist in the Oval Office. One of them is the pastor, Abyssinian Baptist Church. I came across a clip of this sermon by Dr. Kevin Johnson, and I said, you know what? We need to show a little bit more. So he says it like it TI is regarding the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump. Check it out.
There are times, I mean real times, when I've even asked God the question, have you forgotten about us? Over these past 8 months, there have been moments when I've questioned and said, God, where are you in all of this? In fact, if I'm really honest with you today, since January of 2025, there have been times when I feel like we're on this journey all by ourselves. We can't seem to find our Jewish brothers and sisters to support us. We can't seem to find our Hispanic brothers to support us. And even though we warned and we told people what was in Project 2025, nobody seems to have listened to us. Every time we turn around, this president is doing all he can to hurt us, to damage us, to intimidate us, to frustrate us, to upset us, to irritate us, to aggravate us, to anger us, to discourage us, to dampen us, to depress us, to dishearten us, to terrify us, to threaten us, to marginalize us, to exclude us, to diminish us, to silence us, to destroy us. And I want you to know he's even trying to erase us. Beloved, when you look at what's taking place in America, and when you look at how these ICE agents are coming in, they couldn't wear a COVID mask, but yet they'll wear masks when they come into our communities. They're invading our cities and invading our neighborhoods. Yes, there is a sense of this systematically dismantling the very workforce. Beloved, when you hear that there are federal workers who are losing their jobs, don't you know that there have been black families who have sent their children to school and gone on to get a degree all on the federal government's back? That's the least they can do because we helped build this country. When you look at how they're deploying federal troops in the cities and dismantling every DEI program, then blaming us for the planes that crashed, saying that it's DEI, when you look at the fact that they are granting asylum to South Africans while banning refugees who are black and brown, and when you look at the fact that they're trying to tell the Smithsonian to stop teaching about how bad slavery was. Yes, it was bad. And guess what? You can't erase all the horror, all the pain, all the suffering that this country has caused to generations and generations of black people in this country. And I'm sharing this with you today. It's because this past week it hit a boiling point when he was there in the Oval Office and talking about sending federal troops into cities, and he had the audacity to say that our young people were born criminals. Beloved, the only criminal I know is the one who has 34 felonies. The only criminal I know is the one who tried to overturn the election. The only criminal I know who has incited a insurrection on January 6th. The only criminal I know is the one who stole classified documents and hid them at his house in Mar-a-Lago. The only person I know who's a criminal is the one who paid hush money to cover up an affair, who is allowing Israel to kill babies and commit genocide in Gaza. That's the person I know. And when you look at what just came out yesterday as it relates to unemployment, do you know that under this president that we now have more unemployed people than we do have people trying to get a job. This is not taking America forward, but this is taking America backwards.
That's right. That worked. That's fine. All right, folks, we're back. As I said, I'm here in Montgomery, Alabama, at the Equal Justice Initiative at their Legacy Museum Annex. And so we've been meeting here last couple of days with Black folks, having some great conversation. Latasha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. I was just there playing portions of a sermon from pastor in the Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. He's been using the pulpit calling out Donald Trump. And earlier I had a Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley on, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, and all talking about just this moment we're in. And we've been talking about this, that people need to understand that there is a massive attack on every Black institution.
That's right.
And look, I love to dance, you love to sing, but a lot of our folk are so fixated with boots on the ground, not realizing they trying to put boots on our necks.
You know, I think this is a moment for us to really realize, I mean, if people really just plug in, everything is actually attacking our communities right now. If you look at just the headlines in the last week, around 300,000 women, Black women, losing their jobs, their federal jobs. Why is that important, right? And when you're looking at our unemployment rate being double what the national rate, why is that important?
It's approaching pandemic levels.
Pandemic levels. And what's interesting is Black women are like the canary in the coal mine, that ultimately it is indicative that there's a major problem going on in the labor market. Black women actually participate in the labor market higher than any other women. So when you're looking at what's going on with Black women, that is telling us what's happening, going to happen, and is happening already in our communities. And then how are we going to respond to that? So the bottom line is what we're seeing happen. And then we got to think about it. He went D.C. Like, let's think about who's in D.C. Let's think about the mayor and leadership of Chicago.
First, L.A.,
Let's look at
which
LA.
was targeting Karen Bass.
That's right.
Then D.C.,
that's
Muriel
right.
Bowser. Now Chicago, Brandon Johnson.
That's right.
And it's just going on a list of, okay, give me a Black mayor. Let's see who I can go hit.
That's right. And so we got to really realize what this moment is. We can't be so disconnected to not understand that not only are the policy under attack, but our bodies, our physical health, we're under attack. When you look at this bill and how these cuts in Medicaid are going to impact us, right? When you look at how this attack on these cities, there's a reason why Black elected officials, right? These cities that are led by Black, part of it is pushing the boundaries to see how far I can go. And I also want to think around, you know, as we're talking about these elections, you know, people, I'll talk to folks, Roland, and I was like, well, why? Well, elections don't matter. Elections always matter.
And see that
elections matter.
Here's what kills me, and I say this all the time. You are not gonna find white folks saying, hey, y'all, that vote thing don't do nothing for us. They ain't saying that.
No.
Now, it's some white folks who don't vote, but it's amazing how a lot of us are listening to people who claim to be doctors and activists or in who concern about the community, who are literally telling us that stuff don't matter, ain't nothing gonna change.
That's right. And the truth of the matter is it's sensationalized. And that's just not true. Every single aspect of our lives is impacted by public policy.
Right.
So the truth of the matter is there's nothing from how much money you make to where you live, where you can get a mortgage. All of those things are set by public policy. And who are elected officials, they're policymakers. Now, let me say this. I understand people's frustration.
Right.
When we're out in the communities, yes, we are frustrated because we know that there's more that we deserve that we should be getting.
Right. And you want to see the results of your votes.
Of your votes. But we also need to understand that sometimes we also have to use this as a harm reduction strategy, that when people are coming for your community, you have to use every single tool available to stop them. You also, when people, you can't let folks attack your community and there's no consequences. And voting in itself is not enough, but it is certainly a consequence. I think what we need to also think about is this next year's election is going to be critical, not just for the place of, okay, who gonna get in office? That's important, but it has to be a vote of resistance. We have to get out in massive numbers and let folks know, everybody, that we're coming for you. If you come for us, we're using every single tool available to us to push back and to hold folks accountable. We are willing to do anything to protect me and mine.
The marker that I've been using, the target goal I've been using is 70%. I'm saying, folks, if the goal should be at a minimum voting at 70% of our capacity. And so when you just do simple math, if there are 100,000 eligible black voters and they're registered,
yes,
if we vote at 40%, that's 40,000 people voting. We vote at 70%, that's 70,000. It's elections all across the country where 30,000 votes changes the entire election.
Oh, without question. And I want people to think about what's really critical, too, that we don't talk a lot about is local elections.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to be grabbing up every local election, particularly in communities where we have sizable numbers for mayors,
where we are
city council.
55, 60, 65% of the vote.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We need to be focusing on that. We don't need to just get caught up around the hype around presidential elections.
Right.
That it's in these lower elections. In many circumstances, what's coming down the pipeline, our first line of defense is going to be able to have folks who are in position locally to protect us and to be able to connect us with resources. So it's really important. I need folks to understand this ain't about participation. Part of it I also think is our fault. Part of it has been our fault of really focusing on to participate. You need to participate because folks died for you, and all of that is true. But this is really about power.
Right.
And we have to recognize this is about power. When folks coming for you, you got to use every single tool available to you to push back and to move forward to get power.
We talk about 26, but the reality is what I keep saying, listen, you got a mayoral election in New Orleans.
That's right.
You've got a gubernatorial election in New Jersey.
Right.
Congresswoman Mike and Cheryl, you need to get off your ass and do more talk to black people. You got a gubernatorial, but also a legislative election in Virginia.
That's right.
If Democrats win the Virginia House, beating MAGA black Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, who is down with Trump 100%, if they win, if they maintain the House, then Don Scott is still Speaker of the House. If they control the Senate, Louise Lucas, she controls the money. So literally, and what that then happens is they now, because they've already passed it this year, they can pass it again to restore voting rights for all folks formerly incarcerated by putting on a ballot that no longer requires the governor signing each one. So you can have a number of people in Virginia get their right to vote back if Democrats win the House, Senate, and Governor's Mansion.
That's right. This ain't time for people coming up with half ideas, who have not put boots on the ground, who have not done the work, who have not organized communities, because I know the difference. I've gone in a courtroom where a DA that was put in by the people was very different than the outcome of a DA that was not responsive.
Well, and in Virginia, you got a black guy, Jay Jones, running for Attorney General against a crazy, deranged MAGA. So now that's the chief law enforcement officer of Virginia will be a brother. See, so it's like, folks, understand, it is chess, but you would say, hold up, Virginia, you would have a black guy, the Attorney General.
Come on.
A black guy, the Speaker of the House.
Right.
A black woman controlling all the money in the Senate. Oh, what the hell? So that's not a DNR thing. But the reality is they are Democrats, but that's black power controlling positions.
Absolutely. And controlling resources and protecting us. The other pieces we got to really realize, do we not see that there is an agenda to cut us off from resources? Do we not see how vulnerable we are right now?
The Republicans ran out the black guy who was the superintendent of the Virginia Military Institute. Then Trump has been going after the black guy who's the president of George Mason, and he's been resisting. Hell no, I'm not resigning, and I'm not apologizing. So that's the stuff that people need to understand what's going on.
They need to understand what's going on. This is a moment that you cannot leave any power on the table. This is the moment we got to be organizing. We need to connect ourselves. Folks need to be registering to vote. I don't care what your position on it. At this moment, you need to recognize that we are in a fight, that we've got to stop the ascension of what we're seeing as the consolidation of power. And the way you stop that, you have to slow that down by disrupting. And voting is a vehicle to also disrupt when folks are actually trying to take and consolidate all the power.
It's also really, and I just been trying to get our folk to just to really fully embrace this, that when you say, it is a top-down massive attack on everything black.
Everything black.
So for the people who get so caught up in, oh man, y'all trying to be Democratic shields, this is very simple. They want to get rid of the federal DBA program, $37 billion program. Last year, black businesses got $10 billion a record, even though it was less than 2%, it's still a record. They want to get rid of the program.
Right.
They want to they're attacking, they are literally using the power of the federal government to tell private companies, oh, I'm not going to approve your acquisition
if you have
unless you get rid of DEI. They did it with Paramount.
That's right.
They did it with multiple companies. That's Brendan Carr to FCC.
That's right.
They're using the power of the SEC, the Federal Trade Commission, the Supreme Court just affirmed Trump being able to fire the Federal Trade Commission member. And so people have to recognize that they're trying to fire the black woman on the Federal Reserve, Lisa Cook. All these things are happening.
Who's not even the chair. The irony around it is she's not even the chair. So why, out of all the governors you have, we have to realize that there is a strong message to stop black building. There is a strong message to actually punish anything and strip away anything that actually helps black folks advance or get access to resources. And so if that's going to be the case, our response can't just be sitting at home. Because if we're sitting at home, that means we're giving them permission. We're saying, oh, it's okay, I don't care about that. Part of the voter suppression and what we're seeing right now is not because we weren't participating. It is a response to black folks actually moving forward and gaining some policy wins. So we got to really think about this moment right now. This moment is not the setback. This got to be the setup moment. This is the moment that we got to come out strong.
Last point here. This generation, and this is, I think, where the rubber meets the road. This generation has never had to encounter what I am calling Jim Crow 2.0.
Right.
We had to deal with stuff. We had to deal with Reagan and we had to deal with stuff. No. I would say there has been nothing. No. There's been nothing. And even if you go back 60s, if you think White House, you didn't have this level of attack from LBJ Kennedy.
Right.
You go to 56, you didn't have this attack really from Eisenhower. No. He was indifferent. Then you go Truman, FDR. This literally.
We've not seen this.
We have not seen this. But this literally is the most direct assault and anti-black presidential administration since that violent racist Woodrow Wilson.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's why I need people to understand that there are no games here.
Right.
This is an all-out assault on everything black.
Everything black. And you think in terms of resources, when we're thinking about how the middle class was built, when we think about black folks moving forward, we just think we're going to sit back and it's just going to fade out. It will not.
First of all, if you attack the federal government and the jobs, you are attacking the black middle class, which means you're attacking black housing. Right. Then you attack black giving.
Yes.
Then what they're now doing by attacking with the companies, they're now freezing the resources that are going to nonprofits. That are going to.
That's right.
I mean, see, folks don't even understand how this thing is, how it is impacting everything downstream.
That's right. There is an anti-black agenda. Do not fool yourself. There's the evidence. It's not even like behind closed doors.
Right.
It's in our face.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they real public. I mean, last week, Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri, Republican, gave one of the most racist speech.
People got to look at it.
He literally, we did it. We showed it 3 times last week. He literally said, our ancestors did, it was for them and us.
Right.
Nobody else. He was saying this thing was for white people.
You know, the irony around that is who built this country, and also the irony around, so you believe that black folk, that we are existing in this country for the pleasure of just serving you? Like, we've got to wake up and recognize that even God gave a duck enough sense to take care of his ducklings. We've got to protect our communities at all costs. Even if you don't even believe in, okay, you're not excited about voting, I don't need you to be excited. I need you to be focused on, I'm going to do what it takes to build power and to protect my community. And I don't think that that's the only way. Yes, we've got economic power, we got all of, but we cannot fool ourselves to think that voting does not matter when the people who are being put in position are making policies that are impacting our families every single day. Like, we've got to be sophisticated enough to really recognize that I've got to stop you at all costs, and this is critical in this moment.
That's it. Latasha Brown, co-founder, Black Voters Matter. We appreciate it. Last thing, y'all, and I keep saying this here. We also have to fund our institutions.
We do.
Y'all heard me say, listen, if you want to give a campaign, that's fine. I would rather you give money to Black Voters Matter because you know the money is going on the ground. I'm not trying to fight these and deal with these white consultants who don't want to invest money on the ground, who don't want to do Black-owned media, who want us to be sharecroppers, and that is get out there and vote or volunteer for free. But when we fund our institutions, if we literally are funding Black Voters Matter, then we can run our own Black-tested commercials.
That's right.
Using Black posters, using Black strategists, and actually employing Black people out there on the ground. These other cats want us to volunteer. So we also have to understand why funding our own always
gives
comes
us freedom.
But also it all comes back to our community.
It comes back to us.
Because it's actually being spent on Black people.
Absolutely. And I want to say this to you too, because I am a member of Black Star. I do my monthly contributions. People who are listening, like right now, you should, whether it's $5, whether it's $50, whether it's $500, you see what's happening on national media right now. On national media, they are taking Black faces off. Last night I watched, and every single story that CBS did, it took Black men and made it show. It showed like the most egregious actions of Black men. I was like, oh, they starting that again. We saw that in the 80s. So
because MAGA folks have not bought CBS.
Because they bought CBS. You should have seen it, like story after story after story. And so it's really important for us to realize that this is a strategic move. This is part of the strategy. We need Black independent news platforms so we can bring information to you, that those of us that are really resisting, that we are organizing, that you know what we're doing, and you've provided that for us. So I do want to ask people that, yes, support Black Voters Matter, but we need you, brother. We need this platform. And it doesn't take that much.
Right.
We got the money out there. I don't understand why we can't just drop $5 million real quick. Right. Collectively, we can do that.
And what people don't understand is, literally, that it's going to blow you up, because I sent Rashad Robinson playing today. If we got $5 million, that would mean an expansion of at least 40 journalists.
Yeah,
that means that we would literally have the largest Black journalist newsroom in America.
And we need it. I need people to understand that we need it, because what you hear becomes real for most folks. We saw what they did to Joy Reid. We saw what they did with Don Lemon. We saw what they did to we saw what they've done to all of our journalists like you, who got the courage to tell the truth. And you have put your sweat into this space and have provided this platform for us. I can't tell you how grateful I am, but I do need people. We got to step up, y'all. This ain't even that moment that we say, oh, if what I feel like. This is the moment that we've got to put our money where our mouth is. If we can go give these white folks that don't give a darn about us, right, money for a purse or whatever it is that we want. I like stuff like the next person. We can take some money and invest in platforms so that there's not a blackout in the information that we get.
That's it. Absolutely. Kathy Hughes said, information is power.
Information is power.
So is voting.
Amen.
Tasha, we appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Folks, on that note, we told you we celebrated 7 years on September 4th. Our goal is to raise $1 million. Latasha put that 5. So here's the deal. This is how you do it. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Just point your phone to it. The Stripe QR code. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And a whole bunch of y'all send checks and money orders every week. I appreciate it. I said, of course, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003, 7-0196. Coming up next, our shop, BlackStarNetwork.com marketplace. Back in a moment.
Black Star Network, what's happening? It's your man, Kim. And look, my new single, Rock With Me, is on fire. We debuted as the #1 most added and greatest gainer at R&B radio. So look, I want you to go check it out at musicbykim.com. Listen to it, download it, tell me what you think about it. Also, make sure you sign up to be a part of my community so we can stay connected. At Music by Kim on all social media platforms. Thank you for rocking with me. And keep love on the one.
'Cause I want you to rock with me. We live in a strange world till the darkness falls forever. Baby, let's be the dawn. When it feels like it's taking me over, you're making me stronger, my sweet love.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking all things entrepreneurship. Whether you want to jump right in, take a leap of faith, or you've just been thinking about it for a while, we're having a one-on-one candid conversation with Dr. Tierney, our level up coach and YouTuber of the amazing Hey Sugar. So let's talk about entrepreneurship.
Before you jump out here, know that it is some work that goes into it. And not necessarily the work in the business itself, but some inner work.
That's this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie on Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up? Geek Tony in the place to be. Got Kicked Out Your Mama's University, creator and executive producer of Fat Tuesdays, an air hip-hop comedy. But right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All right, then. So I'm still having some audio issues right here, but we're going to make it through. If y'all look at the Paul Robeson, not my Paul Robeson. You know what? I need to get a Paul Robeson picture in our studio. James Baldwin, the James Baldwin piece that hangs in our Black Star Network studios there. I love that piece. And so one day I was on Etsy, and I actually saw that, and I hit Dominique Brown, and I said, man, I got to get that. And so she sent that to us. I bought it from her, paid for it. And so she's the award-winning artist behind Damo Inc., of course. Vibrant art pieces, unapologetically bold and reflect a creative brand known for modern portraits, cultural textures, and all of that. Dominique joins us right now. Glad to have you here. First and foremost, just folks who don't know, when did you really start your art?
Man, I've been drawing since I was a little girl. Like my first image I have of myself, thought was when I was in preschool. I did an illustration of a lady on a paper plate. To me, I thought it was bomb. Probably now in hindsight, it probably wasn't. But my teacher telling me this is a really nice portrait, I think basically put me on the path to just always keep drawing.
Now, art for many people is very personal, and there are different styles. What really attracted my attention was the vibrancy of your pieces. Some people are a lot darker as well. And so explain why that is a part of your signature in terms of these really vibrant works of art.
I think for me, I grew up in a very vibrant house. My parents had art all over the home. We had figurines. Every Christmas, they're always buying me art supplies. I've always been around color. My house is colorful, as you can see. I think for me, I think it's really important to bring that into people's spaces. I think obviously, like, people, I guess, like, you probably can look at, like, let's say if you have a kid that grew up in a beige room compared to a kid that was born in a colorful room. The kid that was in that colorful room is creative, has thoughts behind. It's just like more artistic. So I think that's why I push that in my artwork of just kind of basically inspiring people to be creative.
Let's go to some questions from my panel. Let's see, who do I think really is it? Well, you know what? I'll start with you, Randy. You know, you got some art pieces there, and you always talking about how cultured you are. I think you just bougie, but go on right ahead.
Whatsoever. I got kicked out of my kids' art class, asked me not to volunteer anymore. So I am very inspired and respect all that you're doing. I'm very familiar with your art. Let me ask you a question. When you said, I want to be an artist and this is the living I want to make, how did your parents react? Because I feel that sometimes because, you know, Black Americans, we've had to live in a kind of a place of fear, and we talk about get that good job with benefits. We sometimes are confined and don't feel like we're able to go out and really use our creativity. So was it easily accepted?
I like that point that you made. I think I was blessed when my parents were always pushing me. I said, like, one of the big things that my parents did was my mom, she was taking off from work on Saturday to drive me to USC when I was in high school so I can start taking art classes. Once I got to college, you mentioned with art, you start to think, like, maybe there isn't space for me as an artist. So I ended up going to get my master's, went all the way through school to get my master's in marketing. And then once in 2020, then that's when I really got serious about, like, okay, I actually should be an artist.
That's fantastic, because just your existence is providing inspiration to so many people.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Mustafa.
Yeah, well, congratulations, sister. I'm a huge fan of Jacob Lawrence and the work that they were able to bring forward. And their work is all over the place. If there was one or two locations where you would want your work to be, where would that actually be?
I honestly love seeing my artwork in retail. I think, especially now with all the rollbacks, I think this is a very integral time to where I want my artwork to stay there. Right now, I have a collection at Walmart where I'm selling hair accessories, and to be able to see that kids, college students, elderly can go inside and buy a bonnet, hair, I can't even think. Rubber bands, scrunchies that are reflective of Black culture is very important. I think it's helpful for people to feel seen in their space. So now we're seeing retail pull back on a lot of Black-owned businesses, and we don't have that no more. We kind of have to go online. So I kind of want to be able to still be able to be in retail over the coming years so people can continue to feel seen. Another place as well, I think it's really good for me, has been in campaigns. I think people really need to see themselves there as well. I recently did a collaboration with the Rams for Juneteenth, to where people were able, so in that campaign, I created apparel. Also, we went to Flores Joyner Elementary School, where we painted murals for the kids so they can see themselves reflected, because the murals had children of all different races. So I think I just really want to kind of stay in those spaces in retail and campaigns.
Joe.
Yeah, this is really amazing. I'm sitting here looking at the website. You got art, you got decor, you got clothes, you got lifestyle. What is the next frontier? Because you already do so much. And it kind of connects to the previous question. Are there any kinds of products that you don't make already that you would like to make?
Yeah, so right now I'm leaning a lot into like plushies. I'm leaning into collectibles. I think that's something I really want to get into. Like Christmas season is coming up. So like currently right now we're creating nutcrackers, which is different. Because I feel like it's still part of the whole, like, hey, like, let's bring ourselves to these spaces. So I think Thank you. Yeah, because as you know, if you go to the store, you're not gonna find no black nutcracker. If you do, it's just a white figurine that was just painted black. So I think for me, I just always want to continue to create products that are reflective of our culture, no matter what it is. So I think that's why I'm kind of leaning into more of the toy design, because I want to kind of start getting to the younger generations so that they don't have that same kind of feeling that I had growing up, where I wasn't seeing black art to where I didn't feel like I could be a black artist. So I want to kind of start in that younger space. So that's why I'm leaning into the plushies, as I have right here, which is the Honey Supreme, which is basically...
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yes, because it's basically a metaphor to sunflowers, how sunflowers look to the sun. Sunflowers are basically a symbol of resilience, positivity, always looking up no matter what the circumstances are.
All right, then. Well, folks, again, Dominique has some amazing pieces. If y'all go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, y'all can certainly get those. If you want to get your copy of that James Baldwin piece we have hanging up in our studio, you can absolutely do so. If you go to the website, you'll see the pieces, Coretta Scott King and Dr. King, Rosa Parks, John Lewis, some others as well. And so it's Damo Inc., and so support her artwork. Dominique, I appreciate you being on today's show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, then. Folks, that is it for us. Let me thank Mustafa, Randy, and Joe for being on today's show. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Let me also thank the folks at the Equal Justice Initiative. Certainly glad to be here at this amazing facility, touring their sculpture garden, as well as the lynching memorial that's also here. So if you come to Montgomery, be sure to check it out. Folks, that is it for us. If you want to support the work that we do, join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. You can't do that. We appreciate what you can give. If you can do more, that'd be great as well. Support us by going to using for Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here, right there on the screen. If you also have a credit card, you can use the same thing. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star. First of all, check some money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Also, folks, download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You can also, of course, be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. If you want to get our Black Star Network, Roland Martin Unfiltered swag. So, for instance, the shirt I'm rocking right here, Don't Blame Me. I voted for the black woman. Y'all check it out. I love this shirt here. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com for this shirt and the other shirts that we have as well. Also, support our black-owned companies like Dominique by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com and, of course, going to our marketplace to support those black-owned vendors as well. You see the products that are on my set. We got lots of products. We got backpacks, man. We got all kinds of sauces. We got, candles that smell like your favorite foods, man. Just some amazing products. So go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. And, of course, support Fanbase. Download the app, Fanbase, black-owned social media app. And we keep talking about we need our own platform, so we should be all on Fanbase. I am. Follow me at Roland S. Martin. So download the app, Fanbase. If you want to invest, they've raised $13 million. So go to startengine.com/fanbase, startengine.com/fanbase for more information. Folks, that's it for me. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. And again, man, I love this here. And I love this sign right here. It says, you are standing on a site where enslaved people were warehoused. Folks, we have to honor our history and respect our history. And we are standing right now on hallowed ground. And so let's never forget where our people came from and what they endured. And what we should be doing every single day is honoring them with our sacrifice, with our love, and fighting for them in everything that we do. I'll see y'all tomorrow from Washington, D.C. Holla!